rectangle. So you can see our stem, this is its own element, and the foot is its own element. So we want to make, the bowl now, essentially. So I'm just going to zoom in a little bit more for this and pan so it's easier to work with. So this is where the this offset tool is really good. Okay, so what this does is, oops, sorry, let me deselect that real quick. So this guy, it basically follows all these lines. Oops, sorry, I've realized that's going to be a bit harder to do now. See that? Actually, let's do that a different way. Sorry. Okay, so at the minute our glass is oops, gone too far back now. Okay, so let's just delete that just for the moment, just to really take it back to basics. So we'll redo our bowl, and I accidentally deleted that stem there, so I'm just going to do that again. Okay, all right, back to business. Okay, so this offset tool, it follows the lines. Okay, so if I wanted to make a rectangle inside a rectangle, I would click on the edge of it and then pull the lines in like that, and it evenly, as I drag the mouse, it evenly changes the size of it. Okay, so what we're going to use this for right now is we're going to use this to put some weight on the glass. So if we just use this as a 3D object, it would just be like a solid block basically. So this is to make it kind of look hollow. So we're going to click on this line and just bring that in a little bit. Okay, so what we're going to do now is take the arc tool. We're going to come back over to the edge here, and we're going to select either side of this line. Actually, I'm going to go a little lower just in case. Okay, so then we can change this to a half circle there. Okay, now we're going to work on the inside of the bowl. Okay, so we're going to go back to our arc tool. We're going to click on the line again, make sure we're connected. So I want this to be a nice curve leading into the middle, because we're going to essentially rotate this around the middle origin axis. So if the points and lines that you draw come to like a sharp point, then they leave kind of like it will look like a bullet shape rather than a nice curve in our glass. So I'm just gonna click off there and just try and find a curve that looks nice. So we don't want these extra lines like that. Okay, so spacebar, click, delete. Okay, so this is the basics of our drawing. Okay, so what I like to do at this point is actually one, either save the drawing so that you you can come back to this if you change your mind. But it's always good to select the whole thing, so you have your arrow tool, click and drag a box over everything that selects everything, and we're going to hit Command C, which is to copy, and then Command V, which is paste. So when you hit that, can you see that the mouse button has changed to this these 4 arrows? So if you see, these 4 arrows actually match up with the move tool in the top bar. So now with our selection that we're now pasting in, we can drag and put that in place. So as I start moving that around, it's taking it from the bottom left corner, and you have a chance to move it around. So I'm just going to zoom out, and I'm actually going to put him over here because he's our like backup at the minute. So if we want to make any changes to our wine glass, we can always go back to this drawing of it in a kind of 2D form. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is we're going to zoom in. We're going to pan again, make it nice and comfortable. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to delete the faces that we don't want. Okay, so I'm going to delete that whole side there. Okay, so what we're left with is these lines though from the rectangle. Okay, so we're going to delete those two, these exterior lines. So we need to delete this as well, and also, oops, that shouldn't have happened. Okay, let's do that. Okay, there's a break in the model somewhere. So if this happens to you, ooh, there we go. So sometimes when you're adding curves and lines don't line up perfectly, etc., you can have that happen where this section, the face, deletes off. So where we had just put that initial curve there must have been a little gap or something when I was clicking because I was kind of rushing. So we got to get rid of this middle line as well. Okay, so this wine glass can be like a footed wine glass that is made with a bit of glass brought and used a footboard. So it could be a solid foot. Our stem is solid, but then our bowl is blown. So that's kind of the setup. So now we have our faces set up in an appropriate way. We can click the orbit tool. We can spin around. I like doing this next part in this diagonal angle because it makes things a lot easier. So I'm going to go back up to our toolbar here, and I'm going to down click on the shapes tool, and I'm going to go down to the circle. Okay, so with the circle tool, wherever you click and then you release and drag, that's where the spot is. That's where the center of the shape is. Okay, so we can select that again, but I don't want that over there. So if I go to delete that, it just leaves the profile, but it's hollow on the inside. So when you go to delete things, try and drag over them. So in this as well, just before I do that, I realized I haven't shown you guys how to like move objects yet. So say we have a circle over here. You can select the whole thing, and then either click here or use M for the move tool. Okay, so then this comes up, these 4 arrows again. So either you can grab this from the center and you can move it around freely, but if you want to move it around kind of precisely, if you use those arrow keys we were talking about earlier, so if I want to move that up and down on this axis, but it not go anywhere else in any other direction other than up and down, I can hit up, and see it's constrained on that line from the point. So then when I drag up and down, it's only going in that blue up and down axis. Okay, so I then click to where I want it. But if I did the same, from the edge, that's the point of reference that it takes. So wherever you click on the object is where it's going to be moving in those directions. And also where you drop it in the end in the model. So if I hit the right, that takes us right. If I hit that and the left button, we go like that. Okay, so we are going to delete him though, because